mentioned your philosophy and you've written several books. So can you sum up a little bit about what the message of those books is?
The main message of the book is that I can start with the couplet that has been very instrumental in inspiring me, igniting me, guiding me. सांच बराबर तप नहीं, झूठ बराबर पाप, जाके हृदय सांच है, ताके हृदय आग. Since I had some kind of deep and strange faith in Kabir, and when Kabir shares so clearly and emphatically, there is no austerity greater than truthfulness, and there is no sin worse than lying. And the heart that is filled with honesty, God shines there naturally, joyfully, eternally. So whatever is a little bit what we consider a little bit not right in our life, it is lack of truth. Somehow I put some energy on that, and to whatever extent I could be convinced, I have become convinced of that. So in my books there is a special book, Power of Truth. I have tried to put that point very emphatically to whatever extent I have my common sense. And besides that, I have presented that once you pursue truthfulness in your practical life, in the practical sense, then you realize the truth that is beyond this practical truth, that is transcendental truth, or permanent truth, or eternal truth, or divine truth. But before you are integrated on this level, you cannot reach there. So that is basically I have tried to elaborate in my books. And in a nutshell I can say that whatever we are aware of, either we are aware of just pure awareness, there are no thoughts, no desires, no feelings. Otherwise there is always a thought that colors our consciousness, our awareness. Now that thought can be called a desire, a problem, a question, a curiosity, whatever name you may give, it is always some thought. So now, on this particular path that I am drawn to, I suggest my students to explore. Do you create these thoughts, or they just show up in your consciousness like dreams show up in your consciousness? And I believe when they try for a week or a month or whatever, then they discover they don't really create the thoughts. They just show up like dreams show up. Then the other question comes, what do you do to approve or disapprove of a thought or a desire? We think, oh, I am using my so-called intelligence. We all have our measurement of intelligence. I am a PhD, I am a Nobel Prize winner, I am a monk, I am whatever. Some ecosystem is already involved there. So, what is this? How do I use that power by which I decide I will entertain this desire, or I will give in to this desire, or I will reject this desire? This is so mysterious, most of us never ask such questions. They have already taken for granted. I do something, I know what is right and wrong. So in deeper investigation, you find it is not true. As long as you have this illusion, you must respect that kind of illusion. But then you realize that it is all conditioning. You are already have certain notions. So they determine to go this way or that way. So all decisions are made on our conditioning. So if all decisions are made on conditioning, and then how the body moves? Who is the mover of this body? This movement of the body is related to that decision-making process. Then what am I doing? What is anybody doing? It is all happening. So when you realize it is all happening, of course it is not happening all sweet and pleasant and joyful. But then if you know it is all happening, sometimes there are stormy clouds, sometimes there is a clear weather. So you adjust, you know you are not responsible for that. So once you know you are not responsible for that, and once you know you are connected with each and every one in a very fundamental level, or in the most fundamental level, then all your fears and hang-ups and all things do not register anymore. If they register, then your realization is not complete. You are still charmed, captivated, scared of anything. When nothing can charm you, nothing can scare you. And you hold in your own being your own pure consciousness, that you share not only with yourself but with all existence. Like for example, how do you know Shanji exists? How do I know you exist in front of me? To know this simple fact, we have to go to something that is beyond you and me. Otherwise, I can be only thinking, I may be thinking about you. How do I know you really exist? So these are metaphysical questions. But now, I think the society has gone so berserk that metaphysical questions are only used to cop out, to club, what you call, to outsmart each other. They are not really used for investigation of truth. So I really appreciate